Hi, welcome to Roy's Game Table. Today we're going to be playing a playthrough of Aeon Zen War Eternal with some accessories and promos. So pull up a chair and let's get started. Alright, this is my second playthrough of Aeon Zen with the accessories and promos that are available on the Aeon Zen Outcasts Kickstarter that's live right now. There's only about 5 or 6 days left, so I know it's almost over. But as I said in my first video, even after the Kickstarter has ended, there's probably going to be an opportunity for you to pick up some of this in retail. You'll definitely be able to get Aeon Zen War Eternal in retail. I searched Google for the Aeon Zen accessory pack and I found it on Walmart.com and Amazon.com, and so that will likely be available on retail. I'm not sure about the promos that are going to be in the playthrough today, but one of the things that I've learned from reading on the Kickstarter and things that I've seen is that Indie Boards and Cards is likely going to be doing a Kickstarter in the future for another expansion to Aeon Zen, and so you may be able to pick up promos and Aeon Zen War Eternal and the Aeon Zen accessory pack and that Kickstarter if they do one in the future. You just may have to wait. I am going to be using some components from the Aeon Zen accessory pack today. That's what these gems here are. They're for charges. I have these dice here to track for health. You can't see them because they're off screen, but I got some gems they're going to be using for power cards when they come out. And then on the Nemesis mat, we have some Nemesis tokens here, the black ones. So that's from the accessory pack. I'm also using the Aeon Zen War Eternal promo pack, and all 9 of the cards from that promo pack are in the Nemesis deck. So hopefully you'll get to see some of those come out into play. And over here on the market, on this left side over here, I'm also got some promos. The Jade is not a promo, but the other cards are. The Echo Stone and the Fractured Quartz, those 2 gems are promos. The Rock Launcher and Abacus of Ignition relics, those 2 are also promos. Fleeting Vision spell, the Splinter Missile, the Thieving Spirit, and the Chronal Arc. All of these cards were in the last game that I played, with the exception of Thieving Spirit and Chronal Arc. Thieving Spirit says cast, deal 4 damage, and gain 1 ether, and it's a 5-cost card. And then Chronal Arc, it says this spell must be prepped to 2 adjacent breaches so that this card touches both breaches. This fully occupies both breaches, and the cast effect is deal 4 damage. You may place this card into your hand, and it costs 7. Now, the Thieving Spirit and Chronal Arc spells, those 2 came in the Aeon Zen New Age promo pack. And I'm going to put down in the description links to the BGG page for each one of the promo packs that are on the Kickstarter, the current Aeon Zen Outcast Kickstarter page, so that you can click those links and go and see exactly what promos are in which set and what all comes in each one of the packs. And again, I talked about the promo packs and the accessory pack in some detail in the last video, so I'm not going to do that today. Well, let's meet our mages. First of all, we have Gex over here, and Gex's special ability is Vimcraft Oath, and it says activate during your main phase, destroy up to 2 cards in your discard pile that cost 0 ether. Any ally draws 1 card and gains 2 life. Then over here on the right, we have Remnant, and Remnant's special ability is Ephemera Mask, and it says activate during your main phase. And he has 2 options that he can do. Any ally returns 2 cards in their discard pile to their hand, or Gravehold gains 5 life. And one thing that's also interesting about Remnant is his 2 breach is a special breach. And when it opens, any spells cast out of that breach will also give 1 aether. So not only will he be able to do damage out of this 2 breach, but he'll also gain an aether for his turn when he casts from that breach. So that's pretty cool. And up here we have the Umber Titan, and he's the Nemesis we're going to be facing off against today, and he's from the Aeon Zen War Eternal core box. And his Unleash effect, he has a choice. It says if there is 1 Nemesis turn order card in the turn order discard pile, any player suffers 2 damage. If there are 2 Nemesis turn order cards in the turn order discard pile, Gravehold suffers 2 damage. Or Umber Titan loses 1 Nemesis token. Now, Why would that be bad? Why would losing a Nemesis token be bad? Well, because of setup, he starts with 8 tokens. And he has one additional rule. And that is, when Umber Titan has 0 Nemesis tokens, Gravehold's foundation is undermined, Gravehold collapses into rubble, and the players lose. So we don't want him to lose Nemesis tokens. We also don't want to be lose health, and we don't want Gravehold to lose health. So neither one of those choices from the Unleash effect are good, but that's what we're going to have to deal with. Okay, so the turn order deck has been shuffled, so let's see who has the first turn. And it's going to be the Nemesis. And it's Decimate, which is a promo. And it says, unleash twice, any player gains 2 charges, or Gravehold suffers 4 damage. I think that I'll go ahead and just unleash twice. And I'll remove 2 tokens. It's probably not a good idea, but that's what I'm going to do. Remove 2 Nemesis tokens for both of those unleashes, and I'm going to have Remnant gain 2 charges. Okay, the next turn is player 1, and that's Gex. She has a Spark and 3 crystals, and also the Shattered Geo, which I left down here on the table. And so she has 1. Well, I'm going to go ahead first of all and prep the Spark. And she has 1, 2, 3, 4. And with the Shattered Geode, place the top card of any ally's discard pile into my hand. But Remnant doesn't have a discard pile, so I can't do that. So I'll just take the 4 ether that I have. And I'd really like to buy a spell, but I can't afford anything. So I guess I'm going to have her buy a Fractured Quartz. I didn't buy one of those in the last game, so I'm going to buy it this time. I'm going to put the Shattered Geode at the bottom here and put it on top of the Fractured Quartz. Discard that way. Draw up to 5. All right, next turn. It's going to be Remnant. All right, and Remnant has Void Shard, gain 1. You can gain additional 1 that can only be used to focus or open a breach. And then he has 1, 2. So he has a total of 3 ether and 2 sparks. And so I'd really like to get his 2 breach open so that I can start getting ether when I cast from it. So I'm going to spend 2 of that to open his breach 2, or to focus his breach 2, I'm sorry. I'm going to cast 1 spark on breach 1, the other spark on breach 2. I think I'm going to go ahead and hold on to his Void Shard so that I can use that in the next turn and maybe use that by itself to focus. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to hold on to his Void Shard, draw up to 5. So Void Shard's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, next turn is the Nemesis. And his card, it's one of his cards. It says to discard, spend 6, Umber Titan loses 2 Nemesis tokens. And that's a power 3, so we don't want that to go off because I've already lost 2 Nemesis tokens from the attack. I chose to do that. So I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to generate 6 Aether before that power goes off. But the good news is he's done for the rest of this round. It's only players who have turns left. And the next turn goes to Gex. So since there's no minions out, and she does have a spark, so I will go ahead and cast this spark to get it off the breach and deal 1 damage. So he's going to go from 70 to 69. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to get this spark up here, and so it can be out of my way, so I can cycle through the crystals through my deck to start buying stuff. I've already got 1 Echo Stone down there. I have 4 crystals again. That's not enough to buy any spells, so I'm going to go ahead this time, and I think I'll just buy another Fractured Quartz. And then put this on top, and so she'll draw up. And that'll probably be all the fractured quartzes that I'll buy for the game, because when you play it, you gain 2, but then you can destroy two cards and that supply pile, the fractured quartz supply pile, to gain an additional 1. Well, I just bought 2. There's only 5 left. I can only do that 2 more times in the game. So I probably won't be buying any more cards from the fractured quartz pile. But she's got a couple of gems, and let's see what her new hand is. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gems, all gems. So she's got some buying power. Hopefully she'll be able to take care of that seismic roar before the Nemesis, before it goes off. Okay, and so the last turn is going to be Remnant. And I have to cast this spell that's prepped on Breach 2 because it's closed. And so whenever you have a spell prepped on a closed breach, you have to cast it. So that's 1. And he doesn't have any other sparks in his hand or any other spells at all. So I'm going to leave that spark up there because, again, by leaving sparks prepped, it allows you to cycle, especially early in the game, it allows you to cycle through your deck of crystals quickly so you can buy cards and upgrade faster. So I like to leave sparks prepped early in the game if there's not really any imminent threats up there. So this spark that I cast over here dealt 1 damage, so he's down to 68. Okay, I'm going to leave that spark up, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Aether. Now, I could use 2 Aether from Void Shard to focus Breach 2 again and to try to get that open, but I have 5 Aether here with all of the cards, and I really want to get a Thieving Spirit for Remnant because, again, Thieving Spirit does 4 damage and you gain an Aether. And so if that gets cast out of a Breach 2, he'll not only do 4 damage, but he's going to get 2 Aether from his casting phase. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a Thieving Spirit for him and put it on top of his deck, and I'll put the Void Shard on top of that and the other crystals. Okay, so I'm going to draw up. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the turn order deck has been shuffled, so we're ready for round 2, and the first turn in round 2 goes to the Nemesis. So we have to remove this power token, and let's see what he draws. It's going to be a promo. It's Menace. The players collectively discard 4 cards. So let's see what we're going to do here. I'll just go ahead and have Remnant discard 2 of his sparks. So that's 2. And actually, I just realized Gex has enough Aether to pay off this seismic roar, so I don't want her to discard anything. So Remnant has discarded 2 already. I think I'm actually going to have him discard the other 2 crystals he has, so the only card he'll have is Thieving Spirit. But I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so the next turn is going to be Remnant, and all he has in his hand is this Thieving Spirit. So I'm going to cast this spark, and that'll bring him from 68 to 67. And I'll prep this Thieving Spirit here on Breach 1, and that's it for his turn. Next turn is going to be Gex. And I already looked, well, first of all, in my casting phase, I'm going to cast this spark. So that'll bring him down from 67 to 66. And I'd already looked previously, but she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Aether. And that's going to be enough to pay off Seismic Roar. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to use her Shattered Geode to place the top card of any ally's discard pile into my hand, which just so happens to be Remnant's top card is a spark. So I get to place that into my hand, that spark into my hand. And so I'm going to prep that here on Open Breach 1. And that'll help to thin out Remnant's deck some. It did take a point of damage away, but that's kind of what Gex does. She thins other people's deck, and then when she uses her Vimcraft Oath, she can destroy 2 cards that cost 0 to keep her deck from getting too thick, and maybe even thin her some. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Aether to pay off that Seismic Roar. And then I'll discard, I'll put the Fractured Quartz on top with the Shattered Geode, and then the other crystals on top of that. And then I'll draw up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So next turn she'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Aether and a Spark. So hopefully next turn she'll be able to buy a spell. Okay, next turn. It's going to be Gex again. And I'm going to go ahead and cast this Spark that I got from Remnant to deal 1 damage. So that'll take him from 66 down to 65. And as I said earlier, she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Aether. So I'm not going to destroy the top 2 cards of the Fractured Quartz pile just yet, because I don't need to, because I have enough. And well, first of all, let me go ahead and prep this Spark onto this Breach. But I'm going to use her 5 Aether to buy a Splinter Missile, because Splinter Missile lets you, an ally has to discard a card in hand, but you deal 4 damage, and if they discard that card, you can divide the damage however you want between any number of minions and the Nemesis. So that's what I'm going to do for her. All right, and I'll discard the cards. I'll draw up. There's 1. So I'll take my discard pile. I'll take all of it. And I'll flip it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, next turn. And it's going to be Remnant. So that means the Nemesis are going to go next. But he'll cast, well, you know what? I forgot to draw up at the end of his last turn. So let me do that now before I cast this spell and mess up. I did that in the first game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be his hand. And he will cast Thieving Spirit for 4 damage. Bringing it down from 65 to 61. And I also gain an Aether. So I got 1 from Thieving Spirit, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the 5 Aether that I get from Thieving Spirit and these crystals. I'm going to buy another Thieving Spirit. And then I'm going to use Void Shard. I'm going to use the 2 Aether from that to focus Breach number 2 to get it a little bit closer to opening. And then I'll put Void Shard on top of Thieving Spirit over here, and then my crystals. Okay, so I'll draw up for his new hand for next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's just get a look at what he got. He has Thieving Spirit, Crystal, Crystal, Spark, Spark. Okay, next turn we know is the Nemesis. And it's a minion, a cryptid. It's one of his, one of his. And it's persistent. The player with the most expensive prep spell discards that spell, or Umber Titan loses 1 Nemesis token. So he's got a health of 6. So I've got to take care of that because I can't afford to lose Nemesis tokens, and I'll have to lose spells because he's only got 6 Nemesis tokens left. Okay, new round. And it's going to be Remnant. Well, we have this Thieving Spirit. We'll put that up here. And then I have 1, 2 Aether. So I'll use that to focus breach number 2 to put a spark on it. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do with this other spark, so he'll have to just keep that in his hand. And I'll discard these crystals, put them there. So anyway, well, I'm going to draw up at the end of the turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, nope, just 4, because spark is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, next turn. It's going to be Gex. So she will definitely cast this spark so that I can try to take care of this. He'll go from 6 down to 5. And she has this spark here. I'll prep it. And she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She does have her Shattered Geode, but I think for now I'll just leave that over there. I won't use her ability. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I'll also buy another Splinter Missile for her. So I'll put the Fractured Quartz, then the Shattered Geode, and then the other 2 crystals on top of the discard pile. Draw up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a Fractured Quartz, Splinter Missile, Spark, and 2 crystals. So I'm getting some spells come out. I hope it'll be in enough time. I don't think it will. I think I'm going to have to end up discarding a card or something. Well, let's see. The next turn. Well, it's Remnant. Well, that's good, because he's going to deal 4 damage with Thieving Spirit and gain an Aether. And he's going to deal it to the Cryptid, dropping him down to 1. And then I have to cast this Spark. So that's going to kill him. Good, so the Cryptid didn't do anything. It didn't last long enough. So I have 1 Aether from the Thieving Spirit spell. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so and then 2 spells. Well, I'm going to prep. All right, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to prep the Spark to this open breach. And then I'm going to use Void. I'm going to use Void Shard, the 2 Aether from that, to open his breach too. So finally I got that open. I'll prep Thieving Spirit on top of that, so that when I cast it next time, I'll get 2 Aether out of it. I have two more crystals here for 2 more Aether, and I'll just use that to buy a charge. All right, we'll discard and draw up. So that's 2. Flip the discard pile. 3, 4, 5. And he's almost charged up. Can heal Gravehold 5, which can't do it because Gravehold's still at 30. But we would allow Gex to take 2 cards from her discard pile back into her hand, and he may do that. But that's if he charges up the rest of the way. Okay, next turn is going to be the Nemesis, and it's a Grubber. And this is one of his Persistent. If the Nemesis has 2 turn order cards in the turn order discard pile, Umber Titan loses 1 Nemesis token. Otherwise, Gravehold suffers 2 damage. So he's going to come in with a 5. So again, we got to get him out of the way, because let's see, if the Nemesis has 2 turn order cards in the turn order discard pile, and he will, the next turn he's going to lose a token. So we don't want that to happen. Hopefully, well, it's going to, because neither one of them have 5 damage to get rid of him before Umber Titan goes again. Oh well. Next turn is the Nemesis. So there are 2 Nemesis turn order cards in the turn order discard pile. So he's going to lose a token. So he's down to 5 tokens left. And the card for this turn, it's a promo. And to discard a card in hand that costs 5 or more, and it's a power 3. Unleash twice. Any player discards a spell in hand. We don't want him to unleash, because that's going to either make him lose tokens or do some damage. So we're going to have to try to pay that off. Discard a card in hand of 5 or more. And they do have those. And I may have to do it. I may have to get rid of a card of 5 or more. Okay, so that was his draw phase. He doesn't have any end of turn stuff or any start of turn stuff. So we're going to go straight into Gex. She's going to cast her Spark for 1 damage and do it to this grubber. Drop him down to 4. And I didn't look last time, but she has her Fractured Court, that's 2, a Splinter Missile, a Spark. So he has 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to prep this Spark up on that. And I think I am going to go, in order to pay off Spirit Cage, I don't want him to unleash twice. So to pay that off, I have to discard a card in hand that costs 5 or more. And I do have a Splinter Missile, so unfortunately I'll go ahead and drop that. Of course, I know that grubber will make him lose a token, but I'm going to go ahead and pay that off. And then I'll use the 4 Aether that I have. I'm actually going to use 3 of it to buy a rock launcher. Okay, and I'm going to hold on to this other crystal, keep that in her hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So she needs 1 more card. Five. Okay, so she paid the cost to remove this Spirit Cage, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I'm going to throw the gems all over the place. All right, new round. And it's going to be Gex. So she'll deal 1 damage to the grubber. And hopefully Remnant gets to go next so that he can kill that grubber before another Nemesis token comes off. But she's going to prep this Spark. She has 1, 2, 3, 4 crystals. And she's pretty good on gems. Pretty decent on spells. I'm going to start getting charges for her so I can start thinning and start healing if I need to. Nobody's taking damage yet, but I'm going to get charges with these 4 crystals. So 1, 2. All right. And looks like she got some buying power and a Splinter Missile in her hand. Okay, next turn. It's going to be the Nemesis. So there's only 1 Nemesis turn order card in the discard pile. So when that happens, so if there's 2 turn order cards in the turn order discard pile, the Umber Titan loses a Nemesis token, otherwise Gravehold suffers 2. So that's what's going to happen. Gravehold will go from 30 to 28. And that's okay. That's not a lot of life, and I don't want to lose tokens, so that actually worked out, okay? So that's what the grubber does in the card. It's one of his. It's Maul. And so the players collectively destroy the 2 most expensive press spells, or Umber Titan loses 2 Nemesis tokens. Well, if I do that, he'll have 3 tokens, but I'm going to lose Thieving Spirit. But he can't lose any more tokens. So the players collectively destroy the 2 most expensive prep spells, or Umber Titan loses 2 Nemesis tokens. Alright, this is probably going to be a mistake, but Umber Titan's going to lose 2 Nemesis tokens. I know he's only got 3 left. I'm probably making some bonehead decisions, but I've got to get rid of that grubber. If I don't, he's just going to lose tokens. So that's how I'm going to do that. And hopefully the Nemesis doesn't go again right now. Hopefully Remnant gets to go. And it's going to be Gex. So not who I need, but at least it's not the Nemesis. She's going to deal 1 damage to the grubber. And then she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a Splinter Missile here. I'm going to prep that. And then 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I could get 6 if I destroy the top 2 cards of the Fractured Quartz pile. And Remnant doesn't have a discard, so I can't use Shattered Geode. 1, 2, 3. So I think what I'm going to do is that I want to try to get more of the We saw the Echo Stone a lot in the last game. That's one reason why I've been avoiding that. I don't really want the Fleeting Vision. But the Abacus of Ignition, you may cast any ally's prep spell, any ally draws a card. I think I'll do that. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll use 4 of that to buy an Abacus of Ignition. And then I'm going to hold on to a crystal. And that's going to be her turn. So this crystal is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next turn, please be Remnant. And it's not. So there are now 2 turn order cards in the discard pile. So he loses Nemesis token. He's down to 2 left. And he's got 61 health left. I'm way behind. I've made some major errors in this game. But that's life. Okay, and he draws. And it's Dispel, Unleash twice. So if I lose the tokens, I'm gone. So that means I'm going to have to do the top option, which is if there are 2 Nemesis turn order cards in the turn order discard pile, Gravehold suffers 2 damage. So that's unleashing twice. So Gravehold will go from 28 to 24. And then the player with the most prep spells discards their most expensive prep spell. So I have to do it anyway. I lost the Nemesis tokens to keep Thieving Spirit up there, and it's going to be gone anyway. That's the bad news. The good news is the Nemesis is gone, and you're allowed to look through the discard pile. And Remnant is the only one left to go. So I was going to say I could use Splinter Missile to hit the Grubber for 2 and Umber Titan for 3, but Gex won't go anymore this turn in this round. So anyway, there's Remnant. I'll cast this Spark to deal 1 to the Grubber. And then his hand, he's got 1, 2. Well, here's a Thieving Spirit. I'll put that on Breach 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that's 4 Aether. So I'm going to buy 2 crystals, or 2 charges, sorry. And that it fills them up, so I'm going to go ahead and use his ability. And any ally returns 2 cards in their discard pile to their hand. And I think what I'm going to do this time, because Gravehold still has 24 health, I'm going to let Gex return 2 cards from the discard pile, because I'm going to get, I think the Rock Launcher is in here. No, it isn't. So never mind. I'm not going to have her do that. I will just go ahead and heal Gravehold 5. So Gravehold will go up to 29. Okay. So I prepped the spell for, and then I got these other 4 crystals. They'll go on top. He'll draw up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And then he has the last turn of the round. I have a Thieving Spirit here, and I'm going to have to overkill, I think, just to be safe. It's 4 damage, but I'm going to have to get rid of this Grubber because I've been just taking off Nemesis tokens, and I knew not to do that, but I did. But I do get 2 Aether, 1 because of Thieving Spirit, and 1 because I cast out of Breach 2. I'm going to prep this. So I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, and a Spark. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I'm good on spells for now. But yes, I am. So I'm going to have him buy a Rock Launcher, because Rock Launcher lets you destroy or discard a card, so he can start thinning his deck himself. So that's 3. And then, so that's 3, and then my last 2 Aether, I'll buy a charge. All right, so draw up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he doesn't have a deck right now. He only has a discard pile. Okay, new round. And the first turn of this new round goes to the Nemesis. There's nothing in play. So we'll just draw a card. And this is a promo. Gravity Splinter. We saw this in the last game, in the first game. Discard, spend 7, power 2, unleash twice. The player with the fewest open breaches suffers 3 damage. So I'm going to have to let that unleash twice. I'm going to have to do the damage from his unleash if this goes off. And it'll be more damage. So I've got to pay that off. And that's what I'm going to be looking to do this turn and this round. Okay, the next turn is the Nemesis. So this token comes off. We draw a card. And it's Umber Titans. It's a Vault Behemoth. He'll come in with 9 health, persistent. Any player suffers 2 damage. If this minion has 8 or less life, Umber Titan loses 1 Nemesis token. So I'm going to have to figure out how to beat him. I'm going to have to either kill him before he goes again, which I get all 4 of my turns in a row. So I could do that. I think I can do that actually. But I'm going to have to kill him before, I'm going to have to do that, or I'm going to have to make sure that he doesn't have 8 or less life. But like I said, the Nemesis went twice at the beginning of this round, so the rest of them are the player turns. All right, and Remnant will go first. So I'll cast Thieving Spirit first for 4 damage. And I'll do it here, so he'll go down from 9 to 5. And that's going to give me an Aether, and then I'll use a Spark. I'm going to have to use a Spark to do 4 damage over here to him. So, Thieving Spirit gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got 5 Aether. I'll prep that Spark here on Breach 2. So I have 5 Aether. And oh, I need 7. And he doesn't have any gems. So I'll go ahead and have him start working on some Echo Stones. So that's 4. So I'll just keep a crystal in my hand. So I actually only spent 4. Okay, so that crystal's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, next turn. It's going to be Gex. Gex has the Splinter Missile. And so she's going to deal 4 damage, and any ally can discard a card in hand. If they do, I can divide the damage up. So it's going to be 4. And that's all he has left. So Remnant doesn't need to discard a card. So he's gone. All right, good. And I think she's going to have enough Aether to pay off that Gravity Splinter. Let's see. We've got 2. There's a Rock Launcher, Gravity Splinter. No, she's only got 4 in her hand right now. So, but she does have another turn. I can hold on to him and hopefully get some more gems. And that's probably what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to prep Splinter Missile. And then I'm going to take Rock Launcher. And it says destroy a card, just discard to destroy a card in hand. If you do, deal damage equal to its cost. I'm going to destroy the Spark. It's not going to do any damage, but it's going to get it out of the deck. And then I'm going to hold on. I am going to go ahead and hold on to these in case Remnant doesn't have enough because I haven't checked. I'll hold on to these and hopefully she'll get some more gems. So Rock Launcher is the only thing that'll get discarded. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I think I may have enough. I don't know. We'll see. Next turn, it's going to be Remnant. So he will cast this Spark for 1. Bring down from 61 to 60. And that's 1 Aether because it came out of Breach 2. All right, and he has a rock launcher. So I'm going to prep Thieving Spirit. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Aether. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Rock Launcher to destroy this crystal. It won't do any damage, but it gets it out of my hand. And then I'm going to use Void Shard and the other crystal for 3 to focus Breach 3, I guess. Because Void Shard, you get an additional Aether, but it has to be used to focus. And so if I didn't, so that's basically all I really could have done. All right, that's what I'm going to do. That wasn't a very exciting turn for him. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the last turn of the round goes to Gex. And she's going to cast this Splinter Missile for 4. So that'll bring Umber Titan down from 60 to 56. And I sure hope I have enough. I hope I have enough Aether to pay off this Gravity Splinter, because if I don't and he goes next, I'm already going to lose the game. So this will be a short video. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Well, I'll prep this Spark. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I won't have enough. I won't have enough to pay off that Gravity Splinter. Oh, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I said the game would be over, but that's if I chose to lose the Nemesis tokens. I can take the damage, which is what I'll do. So the game won't be over. But I'll just go ahead, I guess, and spin this. I mean, well, if she draws a crystal, she would have 7, but that's kind of a waste. I'm just going to spend it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. She needs 3 more. She needs 6 more Aether to charge her ability all the way up. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take Fractured Chord. I'm going to destroy the 2 cards. You may destroy 2 cards in this card's supply pile. So I'm going to destroy 2 Fractured Chords to get an additional 1 Aether. So that's now 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to go ahead and use them all to charge her up. Okay, so she'll draw up at the end of her turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll start a new round. I've already shuffled the turn order deck, so the first turn goes to her. So we'll just go ahead and cast that Spark for 1 damage, bringing him down to 55. All right, she only has 3 Aether, so she can't do anything about that. So you may cast any player's prep spell, any ally draws a card. If I cast Thieving Spirit, she'll gain the 1 Aether, and I don't really want her to do that because I just don't think she needs to. So I think what I'm going to do. Oh, but if I use it, I have to cast any player's prep spell. All right, well, then I guess I'll do it. Well, let me go ahead and use Abacus of Ignition. You may cast any ally's prep spell. Any ally draws a card. So it'll deal 4. Bringing him down to 51. And any ally draws a card. So Remnant's going to get to draw a card. And again, when you cast another player's prep spell, you get all the effects. And since it came out of Breach 2, and Thieving Spirit gives 1, she actually gets 2 Aether from that. So now she has 2, 3, 4, 5 Aether that she can spend. And I'm not going to use my charges yet because nobody has taken any damage. I'm going to wait till our next turn because more than likely Gravity Splinter is going to go off now. And somebody's going to take damage. So I'll hold on to those charges. So I've got 5 to spend. And I'm just going to get another Splinter Missile. I need to start turning my deck, which I will be doing next time. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Next turn, it's going to be Remnant. And he doesn't have anything to cast because Gex did that for him. One, he's got a Crystal, Echo Stone, 2 spells. So he'll prep the Spark. He'll prep the Thieving Spirit here. And so he has 2, 3, 4, 5. No, he does not have enough Aether to pay off Gravity Splinter still. Needs 7. So he's only got 5 Aether. And so I'll just hold on to a Crystal and spend 4 to get 2 charges, because somebody's going to take damage, either Gravehold or one of the mages. So he needs to start charging up so he can heal or do whatever he needs to do. So I'm going to hold on to that 1 crystal in my hand. I'm going to hold on to this crystal and draw up. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5. I was counting wrong. I make sure I got 5 cards here. Okay. All right, next turn. And it is the Nemesis. So this is going to go off. Unleash twice. Well, so we're going to be doing some damage. There's only 1 turn order card in the turn order discard pile. So if there is 1 Nemesis turn order card in the turn order discard pile, any player suffers 2 damage. So we'll just have Gex. Well, no, we'll have Remnant do that, because Gex's ability heals an ally. So he's going to take 2. And then the player with the fewest open breaches suffers 3 damage. And unfortunately, that's Gex. So she has to take that. So she'll be down to 7. All right, had all that time to get rid of that card and couldn't do it. The card draw is Unleash twice. Any player destroys their most expensive card in hand, or Unleash twice, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Well, let's Unleash twice first, which means any player suffers 2 damage. So I'll just have Remnant take that. He'll go from 8 to 4. And then any player destroys their most expensive card or Unleash twice. So I'll be taking even more damage. I won't be, let's see. Remnant has a rock launcher as his most expensive. That may be the Sacrificial Lamb. No, I'm not getting rid of a splinter missile. So I'll do the top. Okay, and by the way, negate, in case you missed it, it was a promo. So I've Unleashed twice, and that's why Remnant took 4 damage. And I'm going to do the top option of any player destroys their most expensive card in hand, because Remnant's most expensive card is a rock launcher. So it'll help trim his deck. I was going to use it to trim more cards out, but I'm not taking any more damage, and I'm not going to have Splinter Missile get destroyed. Okay, that's the end of his turn. Remnant. So he's going to deal 4 damage with Thieving Spirit and 1 with a Spark. So that brings him from 51. That's 5 damage over there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for Thieving Spirit, 1 for the Spark. So he's at 46. I've got 2 Aether from Thieving Spirit. So 2, 3. Let's prep this Spark. It's the only spell I have, so I'll put it over here. So 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, or I can get an extra one to... So I think I'm going to use the 2 from Thieving Spirit and 2 crystals to charge him up. And I'm going to hold on to Void Bond until my next turn. Gravehold's at 29, so he doesn't need to heal Gravehold yet, but let's see what's in her discard pile. Any ally returns 2 cards in their discard pile to their hand. Okay. So I'm going to use his ability to allow Gex to return 2 cards from her discard pile to her hand. And that's going to be 1 Splinter Missile. And I think I'm going to go ahead and return the other Splinter Missile. There were 2 in the discard pile, so now she's got 2 of those in her hand. And that's it for his turn. He's got Void. Void Shard is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I've been calling that Void Bond some in this game, I'm sorry. There is a spell in the game called Void Bond, but I'm just messing it up. I mean, I'm sorry if I did that. But anyway, okay. Next turn is going to be Gex. That's good. So we'll have her cast this Spark, bringing him from 46 to 45. And I know I have 2 Splinter Missiles. Let's see what I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't have enough Aether to prep all 3 of my Splinter Missiles. So I'll prep what I can. I'm going to prep this Splinter Missile here. I'm going to use 4 Aether to 4 Aether to focus Breach 4 and prep another Splinter Missile. Okay, and I'm not going to use Shattered Geode's effect. So that's 4. And then I still have a Splinter Missile and a Rock Launcher. So Rock Launcher, I'm going to discard Splinter Missile. And because of that, I get to deal damage equal to its cost. So I'm going to get to deal 5 damage. So actually, Rock Launcher is letting Splinter Missile do more damage than it normally would. So 5 damage, bringing it from 45 to 40. Okay, and I'm not done because I'm going to use her ability, which is destroy up to 2 cards in your discard pile that cost 0. And I think I'm going to get rid of a Spark and 2 Sparks because I want to keep my crystals in case more of those power cards come out. So I got rid of 2 cards on my discard pile. Any ally draws 1 card, so that'll be Remnant, and heals 2 life. So he's from 4 up to 6. All right, so that was a good turn for her. Okay, draw up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was a pretty good round so far for them. She got to heal him. He got to draw a card. He got to let her take 2 Splinter Missiles back into her hand, which means she had 3 in her hand. And she prepped 2 and used Rock Launcher to do 5 damage to the Nemesis with Rock Launcher. And so that was a fun round so far. And the last turn in the round goes to the Nemesis. This isn't going to be fun. Okay, it's Lay Waste, unleash twice. Any player suffers 2 damage. All right. Well, there are 2 Nemesis turn order cards. So Gravehold will suffer 2 damage, and it's unleashed twice, so actually 4 damage. So Gravehold goes from 29 to 25. And then any player suffers 2 damage. I'm going to have Remnant take that because she can only heal him. So hopefully she can charge up on her next turn and heal Remnant. And I'll put this in the discard pile. Okay, first turn of this round is the Nemesis. And it's a promo to discard. Discard 2 cards in hand that each cost 4 or more. Power 2, unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Okay, so if I let that go off, Gravehold will suffer 2, 4, 7 damage, bringing it down to 18. I may let that go off because, oh no. No. Okay, well anyway, next turn. And it is the Nemesis. He'll remove a token. And this is one of Umber Titan's minions. Tomb Fright. It's a persistent. If Umber Titan has 5 or more Nemesis tokens, it loses his Nemesis token. Otherwise, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Well, he doesn't have 5 or more because I made that mistake early. Comes in with 8 health. So if he fires off, then Gravehold will take 3 damage, which Remnant may be able to out-heal that. So I may not have to worry about him. But Umber Titan does have 40 health. We'll see. The good news is I have all the rest of the turns. Okay, Remnant. Deal 1 damage, and I'll, that's not very much. I'm going to just have it taken from here. So, 39. I'm not really worried about that Tomb Fright. But I got 1 Aether for that because it came out of Breach 2. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll prep Thieving Spirit. And I have 6 Aether. And I think I'm going to just use it to... Well, I actually have 7, don't I? Well, I only need 6. 1, 2... Yeah. I only need 6 because I'm going to get charges. 2, 4, 6. I did have 7 because of the spark came out of Breach 2, but... Okay, next turn. It's Gex, and this is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun turn because the Splinter Missile is going to be cast out here for 4. I'll hit him, bringing it down to 4. Then I'll cast this one for 4, and I'll just go ahead and kill him. That way, I don't have to worry about Gravehold, losing the Gravehold and getting destroyed. Even though I know that Remnant could heal it up. Okay, we got Abacus of Ignition. Okay, so we got 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I can discard 2 cards that each cost 4 or more to get rid of that power card, and that's what I'm going to do. I know I have time, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to discard Fractured. I'm going to discard Abacus of Ignition, Fractured Quartz, and that'll pay off this Baneful Crux. Alright, and that leaves me with 3 Aether. I'm just going to spend it all to get a charge. Waste 1 of it. That's okay. I'm going to start charging her up now, because he's at 4 health, Remnant is. Alright, next turn is Gex. So I got a Splinter Missile. I'll prep that. I got 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I could destroy 2 cards to get 6 from the Fractured Quartz discard pile, or supply pile, and I will do that. So I'm going to discard, I'm going to destroy 2 of these. So now Fractured Quartz is 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's enough to give me 3 charges, and that's what I want to do. Alright, so she has 3 there. Okay, so her new hand is going to be a Crystal, Shattered Geo, Rock Launcher, and 2 Splinter Missiles. Alright, next turn is going to be Remnant. So he's going to deal 4 damage off of Breach 2, bringing Umber Titan down from 39 to 35, And I get 2 Aether for that. And I have a bunch of spells in my hand. I'm going to prep Thieving Spirit and a Spark. So I have 2 Aether, plus 2 is 4. I'll spend that to focus Breach 4 and prep this other Spark onto it so I can just get it out of my hand and also do some more damage. He's now down to 35. He's at half health. So I'm starting to catch back up, I think. I hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, first turn of the new round goes to Gex. So she's going to discard the Splinter Missile and do 4 damage to him. Bring him down to 31. And then I'll prep a Splinter Missile. And I have another Splinter Missile, but I have the Rock Launcher. And if you remember, Splinter Missile only does 4 damage. But the Rock Launcher lets you discard a card or destroy it to deal damage equal to its cost. So it's actually going to do more damage with Rock Launcher. And then I don't have to use my Aether to focus. In fact, I'm going to use it to get a charge so I can use her ability. So I'm going to use Rock Launcher to discard Splinter Missile and do 5 more damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, like I said, I'm going to have 2 Aether. I am going to take I am going to take the top card of Remnant's discard pile, which is this crystal. I'm going to put it into her hand. Go ahead and spin that for 3, but I won't need it. I'm just going to get 2. And I'm not going to use her ability yet because I don't want to, I'm not going to destroy the 2 Splinter Missiles. I do want to destroy these 2 crystals. So I'll use it the next time she has a turn. I think I'll be okay to wait. So she's charged up and ready to go, and he's getting close. Okay, and so she gets 3 crystals, Fractured Quartz, and Abacus of Ignition for her next turn. Okay, Remnant. So, 4 damage from Thieving Spirit, 1 damage from that Spark, 1 from that Spark, so 4. 5, 6 total damage, bringing him down to 20. All right, and I did cast a Thieving Spirit from Breach 2, so that's 2 Aether, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 4 to get 2 charges, and then I'm going to spend, and then I'm going to use his ability. And Gravehold's still at 25 health, so I'm going to have her take back a Rock Launcher and a Splinter Missile into her hand. And then, so that was 4, and I got 4 more Aether, and I'm going to use it to buy 2 charges. So they're really starting to combo together. He's letting her take cards back in her hand to reuse them again, which is going to be doing some good damage. And she's healing him. So, it's going well. Okay? So he'll draw up. Next turn. Nemesis. I knew it was going to come sooner or later. And we're in tier 3 now. And this is just a regular basic. It's topple. Unleash twice. Gravehold suffers 4 damage. Okay, that's a basic. I know it has Rageborn's picture on there because I'm using Aeon's and Core Box for the basic cards that weren't promos. Alright, so anyway, unleash twice, Gravehold suffers 4 damage. Alright, so he has 1 turn order card, a turn order discard pile. So he's not going, I'm not going to lose any tokens. And so that means any player, if there is 1 Nemesis turn order card and a Nemesis turn order discard, okay. So he's going to unleash twice. And so there's only 1 Nemesis card in the turn order discard pile. Yep. So that means that any player suffers 2 damage. And I'm going to do that twice. So I will have Gex suffer 2, bringing her down to 5. And I'll have Remnant suffer 2, bringing him down to 2. And then Gravehold suffers 4 damage, bringing it down to 21. Okay. Alright, next turn is the Nemesis again. Let's see what happens. It's another, this one's one of his. So you see it there. Umber Titan loses 3 Nemesis tokens, which would lose the game. Or Unleash, place the most recently discarded minion in the Nemesis discard pile back into play. So he will unleash. There's 2 of them in there now, 2 Nemesis turn order cards. So that means Gravehold's going to go from 21 to 19, but that's okay. That's not too bad. That's actually not what I'm worried about. The most recent discarded minion in the Nemesis discard pile comes back into play. And I think that's... Oh, that's the Tomb Fright. Okay, I'm not worried about him. That actually worked out. I thought it was the other one, that if he has 8 health or less, they lose a token. Umber Titan loses a token. Anyway, he comes in with 8. And remember his persistent effect, if Umber Titan has 5 or more Nemesis tokens, which he doesn't, it loses a Nemesis token. Otherwise, Gravehold suffers 3 damage. So that's what will happen every time. Alright, so we're done with his turn. And Remnant, he doesn't have any cards. I mean, he doesn't have any spells to cast. He does have, because they're all in his hand. He's got 4 spells. And I can't do anything with those 2 sparks. I'll just spin the crystal so that I can discard it. And I'll have to just hold on to these sparks into my hand. So I'll draw up 3 to give me 5 cards. And Gex. So I'm not going to have Gex hit Tomb Fright for 8. I'm going to have Gex hit Umber Titan for 4, which would bring him down to 16, because he's almost defeated, so I don't want to put any more damage on him. Remnant can heal 5, Gravehold 5, so that's what I'm going to do. In fact, if you remember, I have a rock launcher and a splinter missile in my hand, so I'm going to use this rock launcher to discard splinter missile and deal Umber Titan 5 more damage. Because rock launcher, if you remember, you discard or destroy a card and you deal damage equal to its cost. And it costs 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, well first of all, before we do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and use her ability. So destroy up to 2 cards in your discard pile that cost 0. So that's going to be 2 crystals. So thinning her deck out some, and she has been thinning Remnants. And then any ally draws a card and gains 2 life. So Remnant gets to draw a card. He'll go from 2 back up to 4. Alright, now you may cast any ally's prep spell, any ally draws a card. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, I'll cast this one because I have 5/8 over there with Gex. and that'll give me 6. This one would give me 7, but I'm not going to buy a Chromo Arc. Well, I mean, I guess I could, but I think it's probably too late to show that one off. So I'll just cast this one for 4 damage. Okay, so it's down to, Umber Titan's down to 7. So she gets 1 Aether, because again, remember, when you cast an ally's spell, you get the benefits from it. So 1 Aether, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which I'm going to use to get 3 charges. Okay. Discard my hand, draw back up. So that's only 4. Have to flip and draw. Okay, first turn of a new round, hopefully the last round, and it's Gex. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a Splinter Missile. I'll prep that. And I only need 4 Aether to fill her up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll go ahead and just spend the 5 to get the 2 charges. And I'm not worried about destroying any cards. He's only got 7 health left. I don't want him to be exhausted, Remnant. So I'm going to go ahead and use her ability. I won't destroy any cards because you can destroy up to 2, and 0 is up to 2. But any ally draws a card and gains 2 life. So he goes from 4 to 6. Okay, next turn. It's going to be Remnant. Deal 4 damage at a breach 2. That brings him down. I'm going to do it. The Umber Titan brings him down to 3. I'm just going to ignore that Tomb Fright. I don't care anything about him. I get 2 Aether, 1 from Thieving Spirit, 1 from the breach 2. Alright, and I do have 2 Sparks, so I'll prep those to get them out of the way. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8. I'll spend 6 to charge him up the rest of the way. I'll use his ability to heal Gravehold from 19 back to 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, so I had 8, and I'll just waste it. I mean, I could charge back up, but the game's almost over. So, all right, so I'll draw up. Okay, next turn is Gex, and she'll cast her Splinter Missile, which deals 4 damage, and that's going to end the game. Our mages won, Gex and Remnant, and the game's over, and I really thought when I lost those 2 Nemesis tokens at the beginning of the game on that first attack card by Umber Titan, I really thought that it was going to be a short game and I was going to get obliterated. But I was able to hang in there and win the game, and probably the reason why I won is because I have 2 healers. Remnant can heal Gravehold 5, Gex can heal an ally 2, and that's probably the reason why I ended up winning the game more than anything. And Rock Launcher and Splinter Missile was a cool combo. Splinter Missile does more damage off of Rock Launcher than it does when you cast it off a breach, and so that was interesting, and that's what I was hoping would happen in the playthrough, that you'd get to see some of these promos combo, and you'd get to see them in work, and maybe it might interest you in going and getting some of these promos. We also got to see Thieving Spirit, how when you cast it, it deals 4 damage, and you gain 1 Aether. That's everybody, but Remnant, out of his 2 breach, gets 2 Aether from it. And there were many times that I had a lot of Aether on a turn, and because I started off with 2 just from my casting phase. In fact, I was looking, and I think I only bought 1 gem the whole game, and that was the Echo Stone. Yep, I only bought 1 gem the whole game. The rest of the game I relied on Thieving Spirit to give me Aether, and then the crystals. And he only destroyed 2 cards, and Gex over here, using her ability, destroyed several. And so you got to see the Thieving Spirit combo with Remnant. You got to see the Rock Launcher and Splinter Missile combo together. You got to see the Abacus of Ignition, and I used that a couple times to cast Remnant spells over there. And so you got to see that one working. You got to see how the Fractured Quartz worked, and that was pretty cool. That gave me, when I destroyed the top 2 cards of that supply pile, I got an additional 1 from a Fractured Quartz that I had played. So, and you got to see some promos come out. I hope you enjoy the video, like and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll know when I upload any more videos. And thank you for watching.